Before I start, I want to just, put this word out there that I know that we have different creatives here, whatever sector you belong to in the creatorverse, whether you're creative, you're a photographer, a graphic designer, whatever. I want you to know that just listen, pay attention, because you're going to leave here with so much valuable strategies. And believe me, you're in the best hands. Like, honestly, look at the panel. You're in the best hands. We have someone like Jesse here he will get you fired up. Trust me. I've worked with him and I've been fired up, right? He's on a mission to help 1 billion people. And I know the people that he's going to help, they are here. We have the global Temi. We all know the global Temi. The one who has shown us that you can do everything and still flourish. So pay attention. We have Miriam here, who is such a strong advocate. And interestingly, I think I should start with this story. I'm seated here today because of someone on this panel, and his name is Jesse, actually. I remember I think I was just in Abuja a little over a year, and I was seated in his office, and he looked at me. I'm sure you can remember, but it made so much impact. He looked at me, and he said, "You're going to be such a great storyteller, and I'm going to invest in you." And, well, I'm here. So before we begin, let's get right into it. I would love to kick off this discussion with something very simple. One thing I know is when it comes to building this kind of global, impactful brands that we want, I want the audience to truly connect with you all on this panel. I want them to know your heart. So when I ask you the questions and you're speaking, they know what to expect. So the first question, and I'm throwing it to everybody. So let's imagine you are on the global stage right now, which we are. And I want you to, in one sentence, in one word, in one phrase, I want you to communicate a message that you want the entire world to know. The essence of your brand, the essence of your personal brand, in one sentence. Who wants to go first? I think Temi. Who should go first, audience? Who should go first?
Okay, it's fine. I think I'll just say, you can do everything you want to do and you put your mind to and do it excellently well globally. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Miriam.
I would say that you are the currency of your existence, so you should determine the exchange rate. So understand what value you bring.
Okay, Jesse.
What they said. Okay, well, honestly, I like the topic because global impact. And I think everybody should build brands, whether you're building a personal brand or a business brand. We should stop pursuing vanity metrics and pursue impact metrics. So at the end of the day, is how many lives have been impacted, how many lives have changed, not, how many followers we have. Like, it doesn't do much having much followers, but I want that, thank you for sharing that testimony, and now I have 900 million
To go.
999 to go. But at the end of the day, that's it for me. How many lives are being changed? So I'm hoping that by the end of this, we will not just pursue how can we build large followings, but how can we impact as many people as possible.
Thank you very much. Okay, since you're already talking, the first question goes to you, Jesse. So the first question is, what are the keys to building and maintaining a robust personal brand on social media and digital platforms? So in 5 minutes, just tell us about that.
Storytelling, as simple as that. I think we need to tell more of our stories and show our work. I use this analogy. How many of us know the story of David and Goliath? Yes, I believe it's in the Bible and it's in the Quran. So the story is this young shepherd, his father sent him to the war front to take food to his brothers. And he sees this giant who has been abusing his nation. And he says he's able to take down the giant. And they only allow him because he tells them that he has done this before. He has taken out lions and bears. And they let him go to represent them. Now, I see many people that are exceptional in their fields, that are doing so much great things, but nobody knows what they're doing. If you don't tell people, look at me, I can do this, nobody's going to give you anything. And many of us are angry at the kind of people we make famous, and we keep on getting mad at so-called influencers saying that we can do better than them. Nobody knows you because you're not raising your hand. Closed mouths don't get fed. So if you don't tell your story, nobody will tell it for you. If you don't do great work and show people that you've done this before, therefore I can do this now, nobody will pay attention to you. So I think at the end of the day, share your story, show your work. Keep raising your hand. Keep saying, look at me. Look at what I've done. See what I'm able to do. See my vision. This is my mission. And just keep being authentic. Don't, I know we keep throwing around the word authenticity, but at the end of the day, it's what, in quotes, sells, you know. Just be yourself. I'm not going to try and be Mariam. I'm not going to try and be Temi. Do you understand? They are exceptional at what they are doing. They are telling their stories. They are showing their work. At the end of the day, it's storytelling.
All right, thank you. But can you elaborate more on how a creative can build that story? Because I know everybody has a story to tell, but I think the problem that most people have is building the elements of the story. What should I put out? What is oversharing? What's the boundary? What people need to know how exactly they can tell the stories?
Well, what you want to share depends on you, but typically there are about like 6 stories I teach that you can share. Number 1 is your origin story. I don't know if you guys are fans of hero movies, but one of the things these films try to show us is how the heroes, came to be. And it makes us empathize with the person. Spider-Man loses his parents, loses his uncle, Batman loses his family, and I'm just realizing many superheroes are orphans. But what's that doing? The story is making us empathize with them, And if you can share that part of your story, this is where I'm coming from, not being ashamed of, your journey, then you can teach, teach about things you're passionate about, things you know. That's another story. You can share stories of people that you have impacted, or the work you're doing, how it has impacted them. I know many of us here are afraid of probably showing our face. There are different ways you can do that. People consume stories in written, audio, or visual form. You can choose to hide behind text, just create graphics and put it out there. You don't need to be as you don't need, these days with podcasts, you don't need to shoot videos. So everybody here, you literally have no excuse to not put out your story, because there are different formats, there are different stories you tell. So an origin story, teaching story, human-driven stories, your why are you doing what you're doing, and that's something people connect with a lot. I'm trying to remember the other 2. I'm sure it'll come to me.
Okay, but I think while you were speaking, one just came to my mind, and it's one story that I think I have told a lot, and I've never seen it in any book. I call it the journey story. And I say that because a lot of people, a lot of creatives, right, they choose not to share because they feel like they're not there yet. They feel like I don't have what it takes. But trust me, your journey is very important, and sharing your journey helps. You always find somebody who is at one step of the journey you've taken, and your story will help that person. Okay, so this just leads us into the next question. I'm glad you responded that way. And this question is for Temi Lade. Like Jesse has said already, we all have a story. But I think a major problem creatives have is communicating that story to a global brand, communicating that story in such a way that it attracts global opportunities, in such a way that it helps you build a community. So the question, Temi, can you give us practical steps on how you have been able to communicate and position your brand for global impact? I believe you're the best person to answer that.
Thank you so much. I actually wrote down 5 things in my notes, and I'm going to list them and signposts just for the sake of people that are writing. The first one on my list is be excellent. Secondly, be authentic. Be knowledgeable. That's the third one. Be visible. And the fifth one is focus on impact and not the numbers. So I'll take it one by one. The first one is be excellent. I think one of the languages that a lot of people understand is excellence. No matter who you are, no matter where you're from, people cannot deny the excellence that you carry, right? So even if you're from Nigeria, you're from Ghana, if they need somebody who knows how to do that thing the best, they will look for the best person, and nobody will ask the question of where you're from, right? So one of the things that you must pay attention to when you're positioning for global opportunities, just bear it at the back of your mind that you're not competing with people in Abuja, you're not even competing with people in Nigeria, you're not even competing with people in West Africa, not to talk less of Africa. So you're competing on a global stage. And what does it require to compete on that kind of stage? Excellence, right? Doing what you know how to do at that time, doing it well and doing it at your best. And not just doing it at your best, what is the global best practice for this thing? So you might think the best way to do lighting is like this. Till you go to another African country and you say, oh, okay, wow, the light could be like this. So the way to, build that knowledge of that global expertise is to also be knowledgeable. You cannot sit down and, I think I can break this, and watch TikTok and scroll Instagram and want to position for global. It's not going to be possible. What are the things you are feeding your mind with? What are the things you are reading? Are you reading things that are bigger than your mind? I think when I started my journey in, this whole environmental space, I look at some of the essays I've written and I'm like, Jesus, even if I'm doing, I'll give myself -0/10. What is this? But thankfully, my husband is here. He started sending me, thank you so much, babe. He started sending me so many things to read, so many things to just digest. And it was like, you read it, you understand. It's not bigger than you. It was really bigger than me, but I was so determined to read those things because I can't get out of Nigeria and I'll not be falling our hand. It's not possible. You get? I know sometimes you watch my videos and you're like, wow, I'm proud to be a Nigerian. That's how I want people to feel when I represent this country. Because I know that when I'm out there, it's not just Temi anymore. You hear, oh, Temi from Nigeria. That's the way they address you on global stages, right? So be knowledgeable. Digest things that are bigger than your mind. Read things that are bigger than you. That's the only way to expand your knowledge muscle. Then the third one is be authentic. And I think this is one of the things that have really helped me. I'm not trying to be like anybody. If you like, do this one. If you like, do another one. It's not my business. This is Temi. And I believe that one thing I like about God, it will not remove who you are to make you who He wants you to be, right? So if you are let me say, if you're a pastor and you're a funny pastor, it will not take that funny part of you and that humor part of you just because you've become a pastor. My pastor crack jokes a lot in church, and I'm like, he still teaches powerful messages that change people's life, and he's still Pastor Ayo, right? That doesn't take away who he is. This is Temi. If you meet me in different spaces, I'm who I am, and I'm not different from the Temi that is on a global stage. And I'll tell you for real, some of the things that people on the global stage connect to is not even sometimes the work that you do, it is who you are, right? So the way you are, even before they see the work that you've done. And the fourth one is be visible. Nobody is going to light a candle inside this hall. Just imagine that you walk inside this hall and there's no light. A lot of people will fall down. People might trip off. People that are even wearing heels like me, you will even fall on your way, right? And the reason why there's light there is so that you can see. So if you have good talent and then you sit on Instagram, you are doing mysterious, one post, flower post, dark post, nobody's going to see you. No, it's not costly. Even if you pray in church from now to tomorrow, you have to show your workings. Yeah. That's why I like David. He will tell you, I've killed bear. Okay, another one. He pulls out his CV anywhere that he goes. And that's the way it is. Except you want to operate in Maitama. But if you want to operate on a global level, people should be able to Google your work and see what you're doing. They should be able to Google your name and see, okay, this person works in climate change. What do you know Black Writer for? Storytelling, community building, which I actually learned from her. What do you know Pastor Joseph for? You know him for, I know him in media, right? I know he runs Firework. I know her as a poet. This is probably the first time I'm meeting her physically, but I can probably tell you some of the things I've seen on her page and places that she has been to. That is because she's visible. So imagine all those powerful stuff. She now comes and says, no, I'm humble. I like to be mysterious. See, you're not Wizkid. Show your workings, right? Right? Even Whiskey, there was a time he was posting, but now that he's made, The guy will just come and post one thing in 1 year. But you are not at that level yet. You need to show your workings, show people the things that you are made of, right? Nobody lights a lamp and puts it under the bed. And the last one is focus on impact and not the numbers. I think last month, this is the last part, I wanted to celebrate 80K followers. And I woke up, it's 5K. I woke up, it's 5.3. I'm like, you know what? There's no need anymore. And I was just wondering, what was bringing people to my page? Number one, I didn't really focus on, let me reach 10,000 followers. There was something I learned from Salem. The number you can control is the number of posts you put out. The followers that follow you, you cannot control. See, Instagram will always be Instagram. You cannot, you can't determine, to the full extent. It's not so much in your power. It will shock you that you might just post a 5 seconds video and it will have 1 million views and 1 million likes, right? So focus on the impact. Every day that I wake up, the knowledge that I have, how can I condense, share it and share it to people that need it. These are the ways that I think, not how can I gain 10,000 followers. If you want to gain, you can buy all those, Asian followers that they will have one picture on their page. But if you need impact, and trust me, if you're a person of knowledge and light, people will always come to you for solutions. So focus on your impact rather than the numbers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Temi. A round of applause, please. And so my next question goes to Miriam. I went through your page a couple of days ago, and just one glance, your page screams identity. Anybody who visits your page can tell that you're true to your core. And I went through the comments, and I realized that it seems as though that has been a factor in how you've been able to build trust and credibility with your audience. So the question here, because I know a lot of people want to build global brands, so what strategies can we use to build trust and credibility for our personal brands on a global scale?
Thank you so much for your question. I think for me, one thing that has worked is engaging with people and not just seeing them as those usernames, but as humans. Behind that phone or behind that screen. So when someone comments and says, I love your work, or this is how it has impacted me, don't just feel like you can just, scroll away and it's just a comment and it makes me feel good. Acknowledge and actually engage with them, because that makes them feel like, okay, you know what, she sees me or he sees me, and so now you're about to build that cult following. Because that's how you build that kind of audience where you see people fighting for people. In your absence, they're like, oh, this is my person. Because you've actually made them feel like they are a part of you, beyond just being the community. She replied me, and it's really nice because you also have a bigger celebrity you're looking up to, right? Mm-hmm. And so you comment, you also want to be responded to. So I think that has really worked for me. I pick a particular day, Sundays. I take 2 hours, and sometimes I put out a number and I say, I would love to talk to 10 people. And people call me, and then we have conversations, and I time it. I'm like, okay, so can we spend like 10 minutes talking? And I think one of the things that also has really touched my heart to continue doing that was someone called me and said she wants to commit suicide. And that made me feel, really sad, but at the same time hopeful that that person felt so comfortable to talk to me about that. So I think really engaging with your audience can build that trust, because everyone wants to be seen and wants to be heard. And that leads me to the second point, which is also networking. Now that's on like a digital space where you're trying to engage and build that following, but beyond the following, build the numbers that actually would support and turn up for your work. The second one would be networking. So you can find yourself in like an event that you think is local, right? But pay attention to how you interact with each person that you come across in that space, because sometimes you never know who that person is that can actually boost your brand. You never know who that person is that can come and say, oh, listen, I love your work. So, and sometimes I think we do too much. Because when we're like talking to the person, maybe we want to like bombard them with all of the things that we're doing. And like Temilade rightly said, sometimes before they even fall in love with the work that you do, they fall in love with your personality. And so it also comes down to, how do I want to be perceived? What is that strategy in terms of how I show up? that I feel will resonate with other people, because emotional resonance is very important. He talked about storytelling, but beyond telling your own story, how are you perceived as a story? So when you present yourself, how do people feel about you? What's that narrative that precedes you in a room? So I think that's also super important, and that has worked for me. I smile a lot, and I find that to work for me. So I think that's also very important. And respect people. Respect people. And in between vulnerability and, I wouldn't call it pride, but in between vulnerability and confidence, leave a room where you remain teachable. That helps in growing who you are wherever you step into, and it helps in actually the possibility of you becoming a global brand. And again, like she said about like sharing, be knowledgeable, arm yourself with knowledge. And if you are a kind of person that doesn't like to read, there are obviously different ways to learn. You can listen, you can watch. I'm a visual learner, I don't read. I used to think reading was super cool. I mean, it's super cool to the readers, right? And then like I always try to like, you know, nah. And I'd be like, oh, you sit around like creative. Oh, I read this book, like, you know, in a year I've read like 5 books, and I'm just like, I can't relate.
I'm a reader.
I'm sorry. But it's super cool, and I really wish I can. But understanding again who you are helps you in identifying what global spaces are you targeting and what your tribe is. And there is always that tribe out there if you're intentional about how you are perceived as a story. So I think I'll stop there.
Thank you so much. You said something that it reminds me of a quote my friend says, Salem. He says that you don't build communities. Communities build around impact. And it's very similar to what you've talked about. I'm so excited. I hope you guys are taking notes. You're jotting things down because so much wisdom. Okay, so let's go on. My next question. So this goes to Temi Lade. So, fun fact, everybody. I'm a big fan of Temi Lade. I'm a huge fan. What's not to love, please? I'm such a huge fan, and one thing that stands out from the posts you make, your videos, and the things you say, you talk a lot about how you strategically position yourself for opportunities. And you've talked about how you've even gotten opportunities from the unlikeliest places like comment sections and things like that. And I'm like, okay, some of us are here doing CVs and somebody's just dropping a comment and getting jobs. Like, okay, that's amazing. So I know that most people here, everybody here wants to go global. Everybody wants to be recognized on the global stage. I know you spoke on it earlier, but I want you to elaborate and give key steps to attracting those global opportunities. So what are some systems and structures people can put in place? The reason why somebody would come to your page and there's something to retain them that makes them know that, okay, this person is good for this global stage. I know beyond your post, I know there's a lot of strategy and structures and systems you've put in place. So can you share with our beautiful people of TMCon today the exact key strategies and structures they can put in place?
Okay, I'll be very real here. The first one is find community. And when I say community, now it doesn't mean like your Instagram community. I mean the people who are working in your field. So if you call yourself, okay, so I work in environments, climate change. There are youth communities that are very, important to the work that I do. For example, we have the youth arm of the UNFCCC. Literally, the UNFCCC is the UN body responsible for climate change decisions and things like that. And they have a youth body, and I joined that youth body. There's some information you will never find on the internet that will only be shared in that newsletter, that will only be shared in the emails. And that is why community is very important. You are not a loner, right? And, people sometimes call it gatekeeping. But seriously, it's not gatekeeping, right? They're just trying to make sure the information stays within the confinement of the people that are good for the job, right? That's why you just see some people pop up, oh, I just got this. And you're like, but I'm good now. Yes, you are good, but you're not in the right place, right? So find those spaces where beyond Instagram, where everybody is generally, beyond LinkedIn, where everybody is generally, these are very, very tailored spaces for the work that you do. And number 2 is create products, things that outlast you, right? When I was in Unilag, I think in 300 level or 400 level, I started having this idea to write a book about children, climate change, environment, taking care of the environment. And I just thought to myself, as at that time, climate education was not really, really a thing. And one of the things you would need as a global person is foresight, seeing where the world is going before they get there, right? So I started thinking to myself, there will be a time that Nigeria will finally put climate education into their curriculum. And by that time, they'll be looking for people that already have those resources for them to use rather than create new ones. Now, what you've done is you've created a product that, irrespective of where you are, people can get it, people can have access to it, and also use it for the things that they need to do. And one of the things that I also do, beyond creating the product, also putting context to this product. What you are trying to do is telling people you're a thought leader. You can come to me for knowledge. You can come to me for light. The reason why people go to Salem's page for content creation, to be honest, is because Salem has given you, if you go through his page, you can learn what you will learn in university. A full module on his page, right? And then there can also be another content creator that might actually be better than Salem. But because you are not out there, they are not babalawos and soothsayers. They will not see you. Do you understand? So you need to show and tell the things that you're doing. One of the things that I also do very well at events is that I network, right? So when I go to events, either you are here, or you are here. I talk about the work that I do. When I go to events like this, I've already scanned all the speakers. What do they do? What can I offer them? Not what can I get from them, right? And people always like people that, want to offer them value. And one of the things that you do is you are just on top of their mind. Anytime they need anything, they're like, oh, there's one girl in Nigeria, go to her for climate change and things like that. So when you are in that space, when opportunities come, they just mention your name. I humbly say this, 90% of the opportunities that I've gotten, I don't apply for them. 1 week ago, BBC 100 Women reached out to me, and I think they found me on Instagram. I've gotten an opportunity from Instablog. I don't know, Instablog likes me. They like to post me a lot. Glory to them. Glory to God for that. No problem. Because I see it. Because when people now finally come to my page, they just feel like, oh, this girl is not actually who Instablog thinks she is. Don't worry, I'm not a controversial person. It's my suit that caused problem. So, and somebody saw me through that comment section. But let me also tell you, she saw me in the comment section, but came to my page, for suit on Instablog, came to my page and saw I was doing climate change, and I got an opportunity through that. So, what are you preparing for the people that are arriving on your page? Do you just post things that, every time you just post 2 minutes, there's no context to your post. Even if it's fun stuff, do your fun stuff and be excellent at it, right? So many things that you're just taking away just because you're not intentional about it. And it's very, very important that if you want to build a global brand, tap into a global audience. It's time to stop thinking local. One of the things that I did when I realized that there was nobody really doing climate education in Nigeria, that was a barrier, right? Because you didn't have templates to follow. Mommy, I carried my bag to LinkedIn and started looking for people that were doing it outside Nigeria. And that automatically just placed me on the global stage and gave me that community that were not Nigerians, right? So,
Thank you so much, Temi. I would really love Jessie to chip in on this, but more from the storytelling aspect. So she said something, Miriam said something about building that cult following. And I know that you're very experienced in storytelling, and storytelling is one way people have been able to build that cult following. As a global brand, you are going to build a cult following. It's even good when you have that cult following because people throw your names in meetings, throw your names in places. So in 2 minutes, please, can you just throw some light on that, how people can use storytelling to build and connect with their target audiences?
Okay, so I'll just share how I did it so I started my company 2015, 2016, and you guys know Abuja can be, you guys are very cliquey. Abuja, we like ourselves. We're very in silos communities. So I was wondering, how do I get business? And that time we were working together. So we started hosting just monthly events like this. We're gathering creatives and entrepreneurs. So our first event, we brought one big entrepreneur from Lagos, and everybody now said, oh, who are these guys? And we thought, oh yeah, we host monthly, we're a creative agency, but we were hosting monthly gatherings for creatives and entrepreneurs. And that just made us, in quotes, blow in Abuja. I built my network from there, and I will just approach people. And before I even say my name or my company, people like, oh, I saw my friend there. So I started using them, the people I got to my events, to get their friends. And, my network just continued growing. And I think what I was doing, I realized that people really want to share their stories. So I was excited to get these big names, but after every event, they'll always say, thank you, Jesse, for letting me share my story. I'm like, no, thank you. Because I was seeing the impact of, so three things were happening. It was impacting our business positively, right? We were telling our story there. The entrepreneurs and creatives were sharing their own stories, but also the audience, they were getting impact, education, information on how to grow. And that just really, really helped me. It's been a while I hosted a live event. Thank you, Elijah. I'm going to steal your idea again and run with this. But anyway, but that's how storytelling. So just different ways, you can do. Just like Mariam was saying, often, if I can just, sorry. One of the reasons I'm happy Mariam is here is I do executive coach personal branding for people. And I've been opportune to meet a lot of northern women that have big businesses but are afraid of publishing themselves online. 95% of the work I'm doing is trying to convince her to make the first post. Wow. So I'll be using Mariam as a case study now, going forward.
You have 2 minutes.
Yes. So anyway, I'm done. But that's how storytelling builds community. That's how we did it, and that's what Elijah is doing with TMCon, and yeah, anyone that wants to do that, just keep sharing your stories, collect stories, share stories. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jesse. So our final question goes to Mariam. Another thing I noticed from your personal brand is you've been able to build institutions that last beyond you, with the women, with what you're doing, with raising other advocates. And I think that's so important because your personal brand goes, it's not just about you alone, right? There's something because I'm a Christian and I learned it from Kenneth Hagin. He's not alive right now, but he has institutions that have outlived him. Like, he may not be here in the next 20 years, but we will continue mentioning his name. And I think that's impact. Right, we have someone like Jesus. He's been gone a long time ago from the earth, but till today, everybody. So how have you been able to, how can people here make that switch to begin creating legacies and institutions that live beyond them? How can they do that?
I think I'll pick up from where you spoke about Jesus, peace be upon him. Thank you so much. Okay, it's okay.
No. Okay, I'll just do this. Thank you. Sorry. So yeah, I'm gonna pick up from where you spoke about Jesus, peace be upon him. So if you're a Christian or a Muslim, the religion that you believe in it because a story was told. None of us met Muhammad, peace be upon him, and none of us met Jesus, peace be upon him. In itself is a construct from that story that gave you faith, and then you tapped into that. And so to build those institutions around your personal brand, you almost have to see yourself as, like she said, foresight, right? But in this regard, when I die, what do I want to be remembered for? How do I want the story around whatever it is that would be created in my name to impact people with regards how they tap into it from a faith perspective? And I think when I started asking myself those questions and also basically breaking down that analogy of religion and how the stories inspired us to believe in what we believe in, it totally changed my focus. And that's basically what led me to saying, you know what, yes, poetry, but poetry basically just gives me the sit on the table and also opens doors to so many other things that I am capable of. But we would need more poets because I'm not going to be in that space forever. I know where I want to be, and I know what I want to use poetry to achieve. Poetry is not the means to the end, is basically an opening, right? And so for me, it's like, okay, that space needs to be flooded with poets that also understand digital advocacy. And so that led to creating Creative Culture Revival, and that led to creating Through My Voice. And so far, we've been able to empower over 500 young poets across Nigeria. And also now, the opportunities, because you get to a space where you're now moving to another stage in terms of the global engagement, but there are also the local engagements. So how do you make sure, like she said, it's the people that are right for the job? So how do you make sure that your legacy is able to also empower those people that are coming up to actually be equipped enough to take those opportunities when they come, and when those opportunities come to you, but now you feel, listen, I need to go for something bigger. But to them, that's the stepping stone to going to, you know, getting to somewhere bigger. Then you're able to say, listen, these guys, you know. And again, like she said, there is no competition. Your mentee can tomorrow become your mentor. And that's okay. That's okay. We must know when to cede space for people as well. But also understanding when you understand the vision, when you understand where you're going to, it wouldn't matter who's running by your side. You understand that it's not a journey that requires some kind of fight, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some battles you don't involve yourself in.
You pick your battles.
Yeah, and some of these things is just parallel, and really you can move side by side.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. I think our panelists deserve a round of applause and a standing ovation. Oh, pictures. Okay. Oh, sorry about that.